There is a podcast that lies between the imagination of two simple-minded earthlings. Travel with these two longtime friends, Jimbo and 80s E, as they attempt to explore the fifth dimension. Follow along with them as they take the key and unlock the door to the vast space between shadow and substance. This podcast is one of trivia, of insight, and of sounds and ideas from one of the greatest television shows ever produced. You are embarking on a timeless journey. There is your signpost up ahead. You are entering the tragedy of cinema's Twilight Zone.
That's Oliver Krangle, a dealer in petulance and poison. He's rather arbitrarily chosen 4 o'clock as his personal Götterdämmerung. And we are about to watch the metamorphosis of a twisted fanatic, poisoned by the gangrene of prejudice, to the status of an avenging angel, upright and omniscient, dedicated and fearsome. Whatever your clocks say, it's 4 o'clock. And wherever you are, it happens to be the Twilight Zone.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Tragedy of Cinema podcast, the Twilight Zone series. I'm your host, Jimbo, and today I'm joined by my 2 cohorts.
Hey, this is Bonding, Texas.
80s E in Indianapolis.
And here we are, gentlemen, once again, coming into the fifth dimension with another rotten episode.
Stellar episode.
Stellar. Oh, here we go. As you can tell, this is going to be one of those episodes. We haven't had a good disagreement in a while, Eric. We've been on the same page pretty much for a little bit now, so I can't wait for this one, and especially next week. So take it away.
All right, well, we'll see what happens. This episode in question is entitled 4 o'clock. It's the Twilight Zone season number 3, episode number 29. And it comes in with a IMDb rating of 6.4. So not really all that high. The director was Lamont Johnson. Now I already have a clerical error. This says episode 30. I'm not sure if it's episode 29 or episode 30.
This is episode 29.
29. Thank you very much. I was unclear on that. But it was directed by Lamont Johnson. We do know that. And it was a teleplay by Rod Serling. This actually, it's interesting to note, this was, I actually listened to the short story version of this. And when I say short story, it was really a short story. I heard an audio version of it, and it was less than 10 minutes, I think. So Rod really had to fill this story out a lot. And I'll get to some of that and what that looks like. Maybe we'll get to that a little bit later. So the original air date for this particular episode was April the 6th, 1962. And just by way of dates and filming and rehearsal, I'll go ahead and give you those dates. The dates of rehearsal for this episode were February the 20th and the 21st of 1962. And the dates of filming, there were 3 of them, February 22nd, 23rd, and 26th of 1962. And just a side little notes as regards to the dates of filming. This entire episode was filmed on stage 20. A parrot and its trainer were used for all 3 days of filming. But however, the bird's voice that's supplied was supplied by a human. So I thought that was kind of disappointing. You kind of maybe trained the bird well enough to do some voice work in the episode, but it was all human voice.
Yeah, but you don't want that parrot to keep going on for years to come.
Yeah. So it was used in Sync Room A, wherever that is, and the voice recordings only took 15 minutes, 4:30 to 4:45 on February the 26th. And that comes out of the Martin Grahams Jr. book, The Twilight Zone, Unlocking a Television Classic. Back to our original date of filming, this brings us to our most favorite segment in the episode, the segment we like to call On This Day in History. All right, so for On This Day in TV and film history, let me give you a few pieces of history. So we got TV, music, sports. We got it all, baby. So on April the 6th, 1889, George Eastman. Does anybody know who George Eastman is?
Did he invent the camera?
Yeah, correct. Very good, Jimbo. You
Thank you.
win a prize of $0. He began the Kodak flexible roll film for the first time in 1889. April 6, 1906, the world's first animated cartoon is released, and it was called Humorous Phases of Funny Faces by J. Stuart Blackton. I have no reference of that. I've never. And you guys ever heard or seen of that? I'm getting
No,
I'm getting
it sounds like it'd be pretty rough.
Yeah, I'm getting shakes.
You know what it sounds like? It sounds like, you remember those, like when you were a kid and you could staple a bunch of paper together
and flip it.
You could go,
flip it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
do the little animation.
Yeah,
It's probably
cool.
that, but with faces.
Probably right. April the 6th, 1896, the first modern Summer Olympic Games. They opened in Athens, Greece. And American athlete James Connolly becomes the first modern Olympic champion when he wins the triple jump. 2 hops, that's 2 hops in a jump. And then he placed third in the long jump and second in the high jump. So first American athlete of the modern Olympic Games. I guess he did
Way to represent.
relatively
All right,
well.
question. If you were in the Olympic sports, either winter or summer, which event do you think you would be the best at?
That's a tough one. What do you think? What would you be the best at, Jimbo? Hot dog eating contest.
I got me, you, Bond, and Art Toast in the 4-man bobsled.
No.
Oh, yeah.
I think we talked about that before. That'd be just sheer panic. I
Who's
mean,
driving? This guy.
90 miles an
You just have
hour.
to hold on and pray.
Oh my goodness. We'd crash out of the gate probably, wouldn't we?
All right, Bond, what are you taking?
Let's see. How about archery? I don't know. It seems like something. It seems like something that I could do.
Yeah, I'd need.
I've never tried it before, but I know I'm not a heavy weightlifter.
How about a javelin
I'm only
throw?
5'8", so
Yeah, javelin throw. Yeah.
javelin
In the
throw.
80s, you can't take basketball. That's cheating.
No, I said hot dog eating. I said that for you.
Competitive eater.
I wonder
I
if that'll
could-
ever be a category.
I could pack some out. I don't know, man. They got break dancing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh.
Breakdancing. I take breakdancing. I was at least as good as she was, so I'll take breakdancing.
I'll represent Australia in the breakdancing
Yeah.
competition.
All right, so April 6th, I got a couple more here. 1973, Roberto Clemente Day was inaugurated as the Pittsburgh Pirates retire his number 21. April 6th, 1980, Gordie Howe completes a record 26th NHL season. Whoa, the Iron Man of the NHL,
Wow.
Gordie Howe. And then finally, April the 6th, 1992, voting begins on the choice of the Elvis Presley postage stamp. So moving away from sports, we get a little. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Remember when that happened? That was pretty cool.
Was that when they were voting on whether or not to go with like young, good-looking Elvis versus
or bloated, fat jumpsuit Elvis?
Jumpsuit Elvis.
Yeah, right. Yeah. A couple of birthdays that you'll hopefully appreciate. April the 6th, 1937, American stage and screen actor of Brian's song, The Empire Strikes Back. Lady Sings the Blue Mahogany. He was born in New York City. I'm speaking of one Billy D. Williams. So April 6, 1937. April 6, 1937 as well, American country singer Merle Haggard. And April the 6th, 1952, American stage and screen actress Mary Lou Henner from Taxi. Remember her from Taxi?
Mm-hmm.
I guess she did an television show, Evening Shade, and she was actually born in Chicago, Illinois in 1952. Oddly enough, apparently, I've heard somewhere, maybe it was on a podcast, that she has a photographic memory. Like she literally can remember what she wore, like her clothing, for example, on a particular day, like down to very fine, minute details. That's kind of interesting that there are people in the world that have that ability. But I guess
Would
she's
you
one
like
of
to
them.
have a photographic memory?
I do have a photographic memory, but it ain't that detailed.
But
The
What-
photographs are a little fuzzy.
yeah, is it a burden for you, Jimbo, to have
You know,
instant recall about everything?
one man's burden is another man's treasure.
Yeah.
You know,
I got you. Okay. Finally, on birthdays, April the 6th, 1969, you know him from Clueless, the 40-year-old virgin. He was born in Passac, I think I'm saying that right, Passac, New Jersey. Paul Rudd, the man who never ages. He looks like he's 30 years old all the time. So
true.
That concludes this day in history. Let's move on to our episode at hand, and I'll give you a quick plot, and then Bond can give us our illustrious cast for this episode. So the plot of this episode, entitled 4 O'Clock, Oliver Kringle seems to be like making other people, he likes to make other people miserable. He phones a young man's employer to say that the man is a communist. He phones a school board to tell them that a teacher is acting inappropriately with his students. He has a long list of people that he wants to tell on. He even arranges a meeting with an FBI agent and tells him that at 4 o'clock, all of the nasty people in the world will undergo a transformation. The agent suggests that he seeks psychiatric treatment, but it turns out he's right. So, dun dun dun, hang in there for this episode's big twist, which you can see from a mile away. I will grant you that. But Bond, please tell us about this cast in this episode.
This is once again a episode that doesn't really have very many characters in it. One of the things that I noticed about some of these Twilight Zone is, I don't know if it's a way to keep costs down or just a way to get them filmed very quickly, is they only have a few characters in each one. This one has Theodore Bickle as Oliver Kringle. I love that name, Kringle, because it sounds like his personality is his name, Oliver Kringle. He does have bit parts in The African Queen and My Fair Lady. It also has an actress named Monia MacGrill, plays Mrs. Williams. She was in the movie Picture of Dorian Gray and also the movie Black Beauty. We have Phyllis Love as Mrs. Lucas. And really the only thing I could find about her was she was in Gunsmoke. She came out in some Gunsmoke episodes.
I believe Mrs. Lucas was the landlady. Is that right?
I believe so, yeah.
She actually is the mother of Angela Lansbury, from what I understand.
Oh, wow,
So
that's pretty cool.
That's kind of a connection there.
I like that one. And Lyndon Childs plays Luther Hall, the FBI agent. He was on television, lots of different TV shows, Perry Mason. He was also in a few episodes of TV's Incredible Hulk. And not listed in our cast, but needs to be mentioned, is Pete the Parrot.
Pete the Parrot.
Who apparently had no speaking lines.
Yeah, I was really disappointed about that.
Oh, come on, Pete.
Yeah. All right, well, let's launch into our episode. And you guys just jump in whenever you have any thoughts you want to interject, but I'll just have a brief 3-act outline, just like normal. We start in Act 1 with the setup. We have the introduction of the characters and situation, the main character being Oliver Kringle, a fanatical and self-righteous man who believes it is his duty to rid the world of evil people. He obsessively gathers files on people and he deems them evil. Communists, perverts, and criminals, calling their employers or the police to get them fired or arrested. He lives in a cluttered apartment with a parrot, and he seems disconnected from reality. No kidding. Kringle declares that he has discovered a way to make all evil people 3 feet tall at exactly 4 o'clock. Anything in the opening scenes in the opening act that stuck with you guys?
If it was really that bad, why would he make them 3 foot tall? Why wouldn't he just wish them away then?
I think it's like a torture situation. He'd rather torture him and have him be like super. I don't know why. I mean, why wouldn't you go like a foot tall or 6 inches tall?
I mean, think back to the episode we did with the 2 guys that was stranded on that planet.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And the one guy had the little people helping him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe these are connected. Maybe the bad people become the little people. Do you ever think
they were all shipped to a different planet?
Yeah, Bond introduced that idea before we started recording. Why 2 episodes back to back with the theme of little people, right? I don't know.
But I do like where this guy's coming from. He's got that early early trolling before trolling was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has to really work hard because there's no social media. He has to get out the phone book. He has to dial people's name. He has to sharpen his pencils up, and he really has to work hard to make people's life miserable.
Did he have a job?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess his job is the moral police, right?
How did he get his information?
Oh, that's a good question too. A lot of these questions are.
He looks like
not
he never
answered.
leaves the house.
Indeed, he lives in that cluttered apartment. And he wears those big old bifocal Jerry Lewis glasses.
Hey, okay, Bond, this is funny because I got some old pictures of ADZ and he's got those exact glasses.
Oh, I still have them, buddy.
Dude.
I mean, my vision is it's nowhere near 2020.
And he's called me a communist on more than one occasion, so I'm starting to put this together.
Yeah. So, again, just to reiterate, Krangle declares that he has discovered a way to make all evil people 3 feet tall, and that sort of develops throughout. I think the physician's wife kind of gives him that idea. But let's hear from Krangle, and let's see what he has to say. He's talking to Pete the Parrot here, I think.
4 o'clock, Pete. That's when we'll make it occur. We'll make it occur at 4 o'clock. At that moment, that precise moment, we shall destroy evil. This is both my charge and my obligation, Pete, to destroy evil. And we shall do it at 4 o'clock. I'm not quite sure of the method yet, but that will come to me. It will come to me assuredly, and it will be a revelation. It will be the expiration of immorality, the exordium of the end. 4 o'clock, Pete. That's when we'll make it happen. In whatever form I choose. 4 o'clock.
All right, so he ends up contacting the FBI at some point, right? And he's insisting that they take action on his quote-unquote research. And, of course, they dismiss him as a crank. And I believe the first person that enters his apartment is it Mrs. Lucas, the landlady?
Mrs. Williams is the landlady.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Williams.
Yeah, Mrs. Williams, the landlady. Mrs. Lucas is the doctor's wife.
So he dismisses Mrs. Williams away. Like, she inquires as to, like, hey, what are you doing? Like, kind of what Jimbo, like, this guy's at home all day. Does he have a job? Like, what's he do up here all day? And he says, that's of no concern to you or something like that. And he quickly he's like, I pay my rent on time. And, basically get out of my face. I don't want to talk to you, and brushes her off. So then the second person that enters his apartment is a local doctor's wife. So Krangle has apparently harassed this doctor, and his wife, Mrs. Lucas, visits and confronts him. And the doctor's wife tells Krangle that he's dangerous and he's delusional. They argue back and forth. And she says something like, well, what has he ever done to you? And, he retorts back. Apparently, he has on good authority, so he says, that her husband was derelict in his duty because there was a person who came in from an auto accident that he was unable to save their life, this woman's life, when she came into the emergency room. And so he deems this person evil and wicked, this doctor, and derelict in his duty because he was unable to save this person's life. And his arrogance increases as he insists that at 4 o'clock justice will be served on people like this doctor. Also, I wanted to mention too, I don't know if it was in the first act or the second act. I think it's in the first act. He calls up a high school and he informs the administration of this high school that they have a teacher in their employ and that this person is a red communist and that they need to be, fired immediately. So I believe that happened in Act 1. Anything else, guys, from you that stuck out? Not real impressive so far as we move along this episode, right?
Well, his apartment isn't very tidy.
Yeah, that's one
Kind of a mess.
Observation that's easily detectable.
I would have liked to see it if it was more of like a layer rather than just like a normal apartment. If it was almost like a bat cave situation where there was stacks of papers everywhere and research and like a big board with pins and string sticking to it.
Oh, right.
Something like that where it looks like he's like really, really into it compared to just a desk with a couple of big, thick phone books on it.
Yeah. He's got a big filing cabinet, though. back in the corner.
True.
And
And he's got
out
a parrot that goes nut, nut, nut.
the whole time. All right. So as we move along swiftly, Act 2, we have the confrontation and escalation of obsession. Kringle is shown feverishly preparing for the moment. He has made detailed plans and is watching the clock. He believes his method will be absolute and only the evil people will be affected. The world outside continues as normal. The neighbors and visitors look at him with concern or contempt. So that, again, this tension continues to build towards the appointed hour. Kringle declares a transformation. It will be scientific and divine. As the clock nears 4 o'clock, he becomes increasingly manic and convinced that he is the righteous judge of all. Then we come quickly to Act 3, the resolution. The turning point at exactly 4 o'clock, Kringle looks out the window expecting to see evil people shrunk to 3 feet tall. He opens the door to check, confident of his success, then looks down in horror. Then we get our classic Twilight Zone twist. Some are a little more easily detectable, like this episode. Some are a little harder to see, but exactly at 4 o'clock, he shrinks himself down to 3 feet tall, making the evil person. So his prediction comes true, and the evil person, which is himself, becomes 3 feet tall, and the irony is extremely clear. So he's judged by his own standard, if you will. And then we have the closing narration. Anything, guys? Not getting a lot of...
I have to agree with you that the twist is not much of a twist. You see it coming from far away. It's like seeing a roller coaster before you get on it. And you're like, well, I know at the end there's going to be this big corkscrew before you come in.
Right.
And so you see the ending coming around. One of the things that stuck out to me is I don't think this is a bad idea. I've always thought, and this is a crazy theory, guys, I'm going to throw it out here. This is
I think
a crazy
I know where
theory.
you're going with this.
Imagine if the entire population of the world shrank to 2 feet tall or 3 feet tall. Think about how much further our natural resources would go.
Oh, yeah.
If our houses were only 7 feet tall total, or our buildings were half the size, or our food, if we were half the size, then a 3-ounce steak would be a big meal. So our food resources would go further. Our natural resources would go further. We have enough technology not to be like, oh no, threatened by a normal house cat or, a big dog. So we don't have to worry about that in the 21st century. But our natural resources go twice as far if we didn't use as much, if we were smaller people. So I was like, this is actually a good idea. I don't know how he did it. Did I fall asleep? Did I drift off somewhere in the episode how does he do it?
Yeah.
Is there some kind of magic spell he used? Some kind of witchcraft of some kind? A wish that he made on a lamp? How did it work?
Yeah. This whole the whole episode is very ambiguous. I would characterize it as we don't know. Like there's a lot of things that are just, and I think that was due to the Rod having to take such a small nugget of a short story, and then because like the people, the FBI agent, Mrs. Williams and Mrs. Lucas, they're all written in for the teleplay. Like he had to create the characters so that they could interact with Kringle. So they weren't in the original short story. These were all just machinations like in his brain that he's dealing with in the original short story. So this is a classic moral epilogue emphasizing this is Rod's like summary at the end, and I'll put that in the episode. A moral epilogue emphasizing the dangers of fanaticism, self-appointed moral superiority, and blindness of hatred masquerading as justice. So that takes us to the end of the episode. Let me give you a few trivia points, and then we can get our thoughts, feelings, ratings, prop pieces, and all that. And so the original story by Price Day was first published in the April 1958 issue of Alfred Hitchcock's Mystery Magazine. Now, this wasn't an episode on Alfred Hitchcock's Story Hour or whatever. It was in like a collection of stories in a book that Alfred Hitchcock basically just endorsed. So that's where Rod kind of got the idea, was thumbing through those books, I think it says that came to Rod Serling's attention when it was included in a hardcover anthology, the Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and it was published by Random House in 1959. In his prologue, Serling refers to the decision to take action as Oliver Krangel's personal Götterdämmerung, the German phrase referring to the downfall of the gods and the destruction of the world, symbolizing the end of corrupted order and hope for renewal. It was famously known as the final 5-hour opera. Boy, that would be brutal. So it was a 5-hour opera by Richard Wagner, and it was an epic 4-cycle type of opera. So, yeah, if you're interested in that, by all means. So Theodore Bickle, or Mr. Krangel, was a human civil rights activist who ardently opposed blacklisting and McCarthyism during the 1950s. So he actually was playing the opposite of his character. He was sort of playing a right-wing nut in this episode, but he was in real life the exact opposite. And the setting, that's important, like McCarthyism and, the Wisconsin, I think he was a senator in the 1950s, and the blacklisting in Hollywood because of McCarthyism, which Rod probably lost a lot of friends in Hollywood due to that whole situation and scenario. So it was really prevalent in his mind, I'm sure, when he's writing this story. So that's important to know as kind of a foundational understanding of what point of view that Rod was sort of writing the teleplay from, was all of those things going on at the time. So the books that Oliver Krangel randomly pick up and pretends to carefully read while avoiding Mrs. Lucas's questions are the September 1961 edition of the Official Airline Guide of North American Flight Guide. So it was an airplane book that he was reading from. The television critic for the San Antonio Light Review, he reviewed this episode as a chilling story enhanced by Theodore Bickle's convincing performance as a vindictive man. The TV critic for the Valley Independent considered this episode, unfortunately, a bit too talky. You should be able to figure out the ending of this show before the first commercial. That's what one reviewer said about this one.
Yeah.
A democracy works because its basic tenet is simply the recognition of the dignity of its citizens, the kind of dignity that permits a son of a Lithuanian immigrant, this is Rod speaking, judge a man as a man, judge a human being by his works, and judge a human being by his compassion and sincerity, and judge all of us not by our geography, but our humanity. Krangel is quoted as saying this, Bickle, as Krangel is quoted in an interview. He says, "As you may have rightly assumed, my portrayal of Oliver Krangel stayed in my memory much longer than many parts I played on TV elsewhere," he recalled. He says, "It was superbly written episode and a wonderful character to get my teeth into. Krangel was, of course, politically the very opposite of where my own convictions lie then and now. To portray a right-wing nut gave me great pleasure." So I guess he enjoyed the part, but he, in real life, was much different. All right. Observations, questions? Guys, anything come to mind? I'm going to start with whoever. I'll just spin the wheel and you guys take it away.
My thing is, we're not very too far removed from the world wars when this is being released.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Rod oftentimes went overboard with the communists, Nazis, Hitler? Do you think he sometimes went overboard by using that stuff?
Maybe, but I think it was having fought in the war, I'm sure it was imprinted very heavily on his psyche, and it shaped like who he was later in his life after he came home. So I don't fault him too much for having those themes, I guess. But yeah, you can see those themes very heavily throughout the series.
This also must have happened right around like the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah.
It was right around this time too. So the threat of communism and the Red Scare right there.
That's
breathing down our neck.
That's a great term, the Red Scare. Yeah, that was big, and I don't think we can kind of appreciate it because I guess we didn't live through it, but
right.
I think it was heavily on the minds of a lot of Americans. But So here's just a couple questions I'll throw out, and we can meditate on them a little bit. Why do you think? What defines evil in Krangle's eyes? And this is an important question because this is where I think the episode falls short. What do you think Krangle deems as evil from your guys' perspective?
Dereliction of duty, I think. I mean, when the emergency doctor is unable to save that woman from a car wreck, and he deems her as evil, and it's a dereliction of duty kind of thing. But because normal people, I think, would look at that and say, well, I'm sure he tried his hardest. I'm sure he did his best to save her life. So he read that one pretty harshly, I believe.
Yeah. I'll just go ahead and jump in here. That's where I think the episode falls short, in my own opinion, is like, he says he deems people as evil as perverts and criminals. And I think he goes like harlots, and he uses a couple other phrases to describe people who he thinks are evil in the world. But look at who he contacted. Who is on his blacklist, if you will. A high school teacher. That's the person that he calls. And without any real evidence, he tries to get that person fired. He's like today's version of a moral troll. A troll, or a social media moral police warrior, or whatever you want to call him. And then the second person, like Bond already alluded to, was a doctor who was just trying to save someone's life. And because, again, without any evidence, he wasn't a medical expert. He was not in the field in any way, shape, or form. He was just some guy completely removed from the episode. And he judges this person as derelict in their duty when he has no basis whatsoever. And that was kind of like what the wife was arguing, right? Like, you don't even know my husband, and you're trying to get him fired. And he's a very, what's the word she used? Like a sensitive, he is really sensitive. It's bothering him. Like, all of his colleagues are telling him to just shake it off and forget it. But it's really bothering him inside because, he did everything that he could. And here's this person trying to get him fired for something they have no knowledge of. So
maybe that's one of the things that makes this episode actually a pretty good episode is, one, here we are 60 years later, and that truth applies more today than it did back then.
Right.
Where all of us, because of secondhand words, could get in trouble, could get, fired, lose their jobs, lose their families, all because someone posts something about supposedly something you did at one time. We live in this same little Bickle world.
We absolutely
do. We live in this same world where anything we say or do or post could be held against us. Even years or decades later, we see it all the time with people who had an opinion, and then 10 years later, because of the world shifts its opinions, the things we posted or the things we said back then get us in trouble.
Yeah, cancel.
So
he was the original cancel culture guy. He was. So do we call male? I have this question: do we call male Karens a Krangle? Because I think that's essentially what he was. He was a male Karen who tried to get people fired, removed. He wanted to, they didn't, Rod in his writing didn't go as far as, like Jimbo said earlier, he didn't wish them away out of existence, kind of like the little boy in the cornfield. He didn't wish, I think that would have been too heavy. Because, you can debate, like, whether you like or whether you don't like the more politically heavy episodes, like this one is, it's undeniable. Some more times than not, though, they're just moral axioms that Rod is writing out. But for this particular time, and again, I don't know, again, to Jimbo's comment, I don't know if it's because the McCarthyism and the Red Scare was like more important to him that he reemphasized those themes and he wanted to make sure that message got across. But it definitely does come across in these episodes. And
how about the fact that both of the quote unquote victims in this episode aren't shown? Like Rod Serling in the Twilight Zone, they don't show you the doctor. The doctor doesn't complete the case.
Yeah.
So the fact that these become these anonymous figures that are being affected by what he's doing, it stays that way because we never meet we never see the teacher, we never see the doctor.
Right.
It's all second, third hand stories, like you're saying. So I think that really adds to the episode, the disconnect that he really has with these people he's affecting.
Yeah. And again, I think that's where the episode falls short for me. I think it was a good idea. I just think that the vehicle, it was not executed. It was too ambiguous. Like that, the doctor isn't shown. We don't know. And like, so he wants to go after perverts and criminals and all these people, but that's not actually what happened in the episode. So I don't know. I just think there was maybe something a little bit lost there, an opportunity to, drive. I don't know. It could have just been done a little bit better maybe. And it just kind of fell flat for me a little bit. Jimbo, your thoughts, feelings?
Yeah, I agree.
Taking it all in over there.
This episode is very much, I guess the story is driven by words and not by what you see on the screen. When the guy, I don't know, man, it was just hard to get into because there's really not a lot of action. There's really, the dialogue, you have to pay attention, but he starts going on like, hey, these are communist and all this. And, it kind of got me thinking because this week in America, we had somebody shot and killed, assassinated because of what they stood up for and believed in. And, we can disagree by using our words, but you can have a civil conversation with somebody, even though they're different than you or may have different religious beliefs, political beliefs, racial beliefs, all that stuff. But if you would have just took the time to talk to people, things may have been different. All I see is this poor, lonely guy. I don't know what happened in his previous career, maybe earlier on. Somebody has done him wrong somewhere along the way. And he's really taken it to heart. And basically his heart has turned pure evil by this point.
Yeah. I just wrote a few paragraphs. I'll just read this. 4 o'clock still rings true. Rod Serling's Twilight Zone episode 4 o'clock is eerily relevant today. Oliver Krangle spends his life labeling others as evil and dreaming of cutting them down, only to become a victim of his own hatred. The seeds of hatred produce a rotten tree of violence. In light of recent events, including the assassination as mentioned earlier, this story hits hard this week when we decide that those with whom we have different beliefs are not just wrong, but wicked. We open the door to violence and dehumanization. Serling's warning is clear. Self-righteousness without mercy destroys both sides. If we reduce our political opponents to monsters, we eventually shrink ourselves. In the words of Paul the Apostle, do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. So that was just a few thoughts that I had that I wrote down. Prop pieces. What are you guys taking for props? You think of anything?
I want the, is it an umbrella that he has at the end that he's trying to reach that thing on the ledge? Is that what he had?
Oh,
he's trying to reach the thing. I think it's an umbrella. I'm going to take that.
Okay.
That's a good one. Man, okay, so I think that what they should have done is they remake this episode today. They have it more of a layer than they do an apartment. You have computer screens everywhere. He's got all this information. He's got flight patterns. And instead of just him in there by himself, you have another character with him that he's trying to convince.
Oh.
Like the whole episode is just him trying to convince another character, be it the landlord, be it someone else, about what he's doing and his righteousness in this plan, and then show that he's almost done this almost like a Batman villain type idea where he's got all this evidence. And I think it'd be better with that interaction between the two. My prop piece, I'll take a peanut.
Nice.
Yeah, that's an easy one. Just one peanut, I guess.
I think I'm going to take the Gettysburg Address that's hanging by the door that he
that
marks
was really
out.
cool.
I'm going
I like how,
to erase the part where he scribbled out all men are created equal.
I don't think that's talked about enough either, where he scribbled part of the Gettysburg Address out.
Yeah.
All men are created equal. He crosses right through that.
Yeah, again, it's just a theme like that. A theme that they could have expanded a little bit more on. Yeah. I thought it was just ambiguous. I guess.
Yeah.
I guess it just didn't land.
Stretch this episode out a little bit.
It didn't land as
more out of it.
It didn't land as good as I thought it probably
It had a potential to be a really good episode, I think, but I think they just missed the mark.
Yeah.
And also, is he the only one that shrinks? Because they don't show any
Right.
outside.
That was my other question.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see, cars wrecking into each other, total chaos outside the window, or the opposite, where no one has been affected but him. Show me either side, but don't leave it open.
Yeah, I think it's implied that he was the only one that shrunk.
He's the only one.
But yeah, exactly. They never really show you. Like, it would be really cool if all the people were just walking around normal and not affected by anything. And yeah.
I would have loved to see him step outside and have people making fun of him because he's short.
And like pointing to him and freaking out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool too. All right. Well, before we shut it down, let me give you a preview of next week's episode.
Wait a minute. We haven't rated this episode.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that we were done. Go ahead, please. Rate. Give us your rating.
Go ahead. Give us a rating.
Give us your rating.
All right. For me, like I said, it missed the mark. Bond, what do you got? 8?
He says 8. Bond says 8.
I'm giving it an 8. I'm just trying to get you to give it an 8.
He's trying to rile him up.
The twist was good. But like I said, the story
man, the twist,
short.
The twist was
I'm
terrible.
going to give it a 6. A 6.
Bond, what do you say?
It's just okay in my book. Especially if we've seen some of these awesome episodes in season 3 already, and they come up to this, it really hurt.
Okay, so
Bond, what do you give them?
Well, the only special effect in this whole episode was ripped from my heart when ADZ says that the bird doesn't even do his own lines.
I know.
I was like, what? He doesn't even do his own lines? That's the only special effect in the whole thing, was the bird being able to say that on command.
I know.
Oh, man. I'm going to give this episode probably a 5, maybe a 4.5, only because there's some implication of, like, it could be true today.
Yes.
And the episodes that carry over for 60 years, they get a little extra in my book. But overall, the acting wasn't that great. There was no special effects, no monsters. It's got a twist. Like Eric was saying, a twist you see coming after the first act. I'm going 4.5.
Oh, but I do believe there was a monster in this episode, Bond. It was just a human monster.
Yeah.
Sometimes the monsters are the ones you see.
You didn't get your alien or monster, but yeah, you got a human monster. I think we're actually all going to line up pretty closely on this one. I'm probably going to give it like a 6. It just wasn't very well executed. Now, I will say that, and I agree with Bond and the points that he made, that because of the relevancy and the fact that you could easily remake this, it carries some weight, and that's why I'm only going to give it a 6. Can you imagine, though, if it was just put on TV, just like the short story reads, where it's just a one-off, a one person, right? A lone actor. I didn't think he did a terrible job, but it wasn't great. I guess Bickle's performance was not, it was okay.
And I wish they would have showed how he was going to do it.
Yeah, that is one piece of the puzzle that they left out for sure. But
I agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me give you a preview for next week's episode entitled Hocus Pocus and Frisbee. All right.
And now, Mr. Serling.
As it happens to all men, a newcomer takes his first step into the Twilight Zone next week when Mr. Andy Devine joins us for a show called Hocus Pocus and Frisbee. He plays the role of the storekeeper of the Cracker Barrel variety who stretches the truth like most people pull on taffy. This one is for laughs and for the congenital liars amongst you. Next week, Mr. Andy Devine, Hocus Pocus and Frisbee.
All right,
Hocus
Jimbo.
Pocus, try and choke us.
All right, Jimbo, you want to shut her down?
Right. So if you like what you heard, why don't you send us an email at thetragedyofcinema@gmail.com. See what you think of ADZ's Twilight Zone series. Bond. It's just Bond. He's here. I hope you've been following along since the beginning of the season, Bond, because when we do our wrap-up show here at the end, we need you to be full on board. So if you have to sit down with your wife and watch the first 32 episodes or whatever, season 3 to get it in order.
Oh, man, I've already got it warmed up. I was looking at some of the episodes for season 3, and I'm excited, man. There's a lot of good episodes in season 3 to pick from.
Right.
So.
But if you want to follow us on Facebook, we are the Tragedy of Cinema Podcast on Facebook. But with that being said, I think episode's coming to a close. That's a wrap.
And
Cut.
At 4 o'clock, an evil man made his bed and lay in it. A pot called a kettle black, a stone thrower broke the windows of his glass house. You look for this one under F for fanatic and J for justice in the Twilight Zone.